Hands me my now much lighter pack. The tighter your clothes, the better off you are up there and in the ring once you start sparring with the armor at all times. Keep your daggers on you at all times. She points to the sheets down her thighs. Someone's going to say I didn't earn them. You're a Sorrengail, she responds. As if that's answer enough. What they say, and you don't think the dragon scales are cheating? There's no such thing as cheating once you climb the turret. There's only survival and death. The bell chimes, only 30 minutes left. She swallows. It's almost time. Ready? No. Neither was I. A wry smile lifts a corner of her mouth, and I'd spent my life training for it. I'm not going to die today. I sling my pack over my shoulders and breathe a little easier. Then this morning it's infinitely more manageable. The halls of the central administrative part of the fortress are eerily quiet as we wind our way down through various staircases, but the noise from outside grows louder the lower we descend. Through the windows I see thousands of candidates hugging their loved ones and saying their goodbyes on the grassy fields just beneath the main gate. From what I've witnessed every year, most families hold on to their candidates right up to the very last bell. The 4 roads leading to the fortress are clogged with horses and wagons, especially where they converge in front of the college, but it's the empty ones at the edge of the fields that make me nauseous. They are for the bodies. Right before we round the last corner that will lead to the courtyard, Mira stops. What is? Oof, she yanks me against her chest, hugging me tight in the relative privacy of the corridor. I love you, Violet. Remember everything I've told you. Don't become another name on the death roll. Her voice shakes and I wrap my arms around her, squeezing tight. I'll be all right, I promise. She nods, her chin bumping against the top of my head. I know, Leighton, go. That's all she says before pulling away and walking into the crowded courtyard just inside the main gate to the fortress. Instructors, commanders, and even our mother are gathered informally, waiting for the madness outside the walls to become the order within. Out of all the doors in the War College, the main gate is the only one no cadet will enter today, since each quadrant has its own entrance and facilities. Hell, the riders have their own citadel. Pretentious, egotistical. I follow Maya, catching her with a few quick strides. Find Dane Edos, Maya tells me as we cross through the courtyard, heading for the open gate. Dan, I can't help but smile at the thought of seeing D&E again, and my heart rate jumps. It's been a year and I've missed his soft brown eyes and the way he laughs, the way every part of his body joins in. I've missed our friendship and the moments I thought it might turn into more under the right circumstances. I've missed the way he looks at me like I'm someone worth noticing. I've just missed him. I've only been out of the quadrant for 3 years, but from what I hear, he's doing well and he'll keep you safe. Don't smile like that, Mira chides. He'll be a second year. She shakes her finger at me. Don't mess around with second years if you want to get laid, and you should. She lifts her brows, often considering. You never know what the day brings, then screw around in your own year. Nothing is worse than cadettes gossiping that you've slept your way to safety, so I'm free to take any of the first years I want to bet, I say with a little grin. Just not the second or third years exactly. She winks. We cross through the gates, leaving the fortress, and join the organized chaos beyond. Each of NAR's 6 provinces has sent this year's share of candidates for military service. Some volunteer, some are sentenced as punishment, most are conscripted. The only thing we have in common here at Basha is that we passed the entrance exam, both written and an agility test. I still cannot believe I passed, which means at least we won't end up as fodder for the infantry on the front line. The atmosphere is tense with anticipation as Mira leads me along the worn cobblestone path toward the southern turret. The main college is built into the side of Basha Mountain, as if it was cleaved from a ridge line of the peak itself. The sprawling, formidable structure towers over the crowd of anxious waiting candidates and their tearful families, with its store tall stone battlements built to protect the high rise of the keep within, and defensive turrets at each of its corners, one of which houses the bells. The majority of the crowd crow moves to line up at the base of the northern turret, the entrance to the infantry quadrant. Some of the mass heads toward the gate. Behind us, the healer quadrant that consumes the southern end of the college. Envy clenches my chest when I spot a few taking the central tunnel into the archives below the fortress to join the scribe quadrant. The entrance to the writers quadrant is nothing more than a fortified door at the base of the tower, just like the infantry entrance to the north. But while the infantry candidates can walk straight into their ground Level quadrant we rider candidates will climb. Maya and I join the riders line, waiting to sign in, and I make the mistake of glancing up high above us, crossing the river-bottomed valley that divides the main college from the even higher looming citadel of the riders. Quadrant on the southern ridgeline is the parapet, the stone bridge that's about to separate rider candidates from the cadets over the next few hours. I can't believe I'm about to cross that thing, and to think I've been prepared. And G for the scribe's written exam all these years. My voice strips with sarcasm. I should have been playing on a balance. B. Mira ignores me as the line moves forward and candidates disappear through the door. Don't let the wind sway your steps. 2 candidates ahead of us. A woman sobs as her partner rips her away from a young man. The couple breaking from the line, retreating in tears down the hillside toward the crowd of loved ones lining the roads. There are no other parents ahead of us, only a few dozen candidates moving toward the rickey keepers. Keep your eyes on the stones ahead of you and don't look down, Maya says, the lines of her face tightening, arms out for balance. If the pack slips, drop it. Better it falls than you. I look behind us where it seems hundreds have filed in within the span of minutes. Maybe I should let them go first, I whisper as panic fists my heart. What the hell am I doing? No, Mara answers, the longer you wait on those steps. She motioned toward the tower, the greater your fear has a chance to grow. Cross the parapet before the terror owns you. The line moves and the bell chimes again. It's 8 o'clock. Sure enough, the crowd of thousands behind us has separated fully into their chosen quadrants, all lined up to sign the roll and begin their service. Focus. Mira snaps, and I whip my head forward. This might sound harsh, but don't seek friendships in their violet, forge alliances. There are only 2 ahead of just now. A woman with a full pack whose high cheekbones and oval face remind me of renderings of Omari, the queen of the gods. Her dark brown hair is worn in several rows of short braids that just touch the equally dark skin of her neck. The second is the muscular blonde man with the woman crying over him. He's carrying an even bigger rucksack. I look around the pair toward the rickey-keeping desk, and my eyes widen as I whisper. Maya glances and mutters a curse. A separatist kid. Yep, see that shimmering mark that starts on the top of his wrist? It's a relic from the rebellion. I lift my eyebrows in surprise. The only relics I've ever heard of are when a dragon uses magic to mark the skin of their bonded rider, but those relics are a symbol of honor and power, and generally in the shape of the dragon who gifted them. These marks are swirls and slashes that feel more like a warning than a claiming. A dragon did that, I whisper. She nods. Mom says General Melrin Dragon did it to all of them when he executed their parents, but she wasn't exactly open to further discussion on the topic. Nothing like punishing the kids to deter more parents from committing treason. It seems cruel, but the first rule of living at Bath is never question a dragon. They tend to cremate anyone they find rude. Most of the marked kids who carry rebellion relics are from Tira, of course, but there are a few whose parents turn traitor from the other provinces. The blood drains from her face and she grips the straps of my pack, turning me to face her. I just remembered. Her voice drops and I lean in, my heart jumping at the urgency in her tone. Stay the hell away from Zayden Ryerson. The air rushes from my lungs that name that Zayden Ryerson. She confirms, fear lacing her gaze. He's a third year and he will kill you the second he finds out who you are. His father was the great betrayer. He led the rebellion. I say quietly, what is Zayden doing here? All the children of the leaders were conscripted as punishment for their parents' crimes, Myra whispers as we shuffle sideways, moving with the line. Mom told me they never expected Ryerson to make it past the parapet. Then they figured a cadet would kill him, but once his dragon sees him, she shakes her head. Well, there's nothing much that can be done. Then he's risen to the rank of wing leader. That's I see he's sworn allegiance to Navarre, but I don't think that will stop him where you're concerned once you get across the parapet, because you will make it across. Fane, he'll put you in his squad and we'll just hope it's far from Ryerson. She grips my straps tighter. Stay away from him, noted. I nod. Next, a voice calls from behind the wooden table that bears the rolls of the rider quadrant. The marked rider I don't is seated next to a scribe. I do, and Captain Fitzgerald's silver eyebrows rise over his weathered face. Violet Sorrengail. I nod, picking up the quill and signing my name on the next empty line on the roll. But I thought you were meant for the scribe quadrant. Captain Fitzgibbon says softly. I envy his cream-colored tunic, unable to find The words General Sorrengail chose. Otherwise mirror supplies sadness fills. The older man's eyes pity you had so much promised by the gods. The writer next. To Captain Fitzk says your Mira. Sorrengail his jaw drops and I can smell his hero worship from here. I am she nods. This is my sister Violet, she'll be a first year if she survives the parapet. Someone behind me snickers, wind just might blow her right off. You fought at Strathmore. The writer behind the desk says with awe they gave you the order of the Talon for taking out that battery. Behind enemy lines the snickering stops. As I was saying, Maya puts a hand at the small of my back. This is my sister Violet, you know the way. The captain nods and points to the open door into the turret. It looks ominously dark in there, and I fight the urge to run like hell. I know the way, she assures him, leading me past the table so the snickering behind me can sign the roll. We paused at the doorway and turned toward each other. Don't die, Violet, I hit to be an only child. She grins and walks away, sauntering past the line of gawking candidates as word spreads of exactly who she is and what she's done. Tough to live up to that. The woman ahead of me says from just inside the tower. It is I agree, gripping the straps of my ruck sack and heading into the darkness. My eyes adjust quickly to the dim light coming in through the equidistant windows along the curved staircase. Soar Andale, as in the woman asks, looking over her shoulder as we begin to climb the hundreds of stairs that lead to our possible deaths. Yep, there's no railing, so I keep my hand on the stone wall as we rise higher and higher. The general, the blonde guy ahead of us, asks the same one. I answer, offering him a quick smile. Anyone whose mother holds on that tight can't be that bad, right? One ice leathers too. He smiles back. Thanks, there courtesy of my sister. I wonder how many candidates have fallen off the edge of the steps and died before they even reached the parapet. The woman says, glancing down the center of the staircase as we climb higher. To last year. I tilt my head when she glances back. Well, 3 if you count the girl. One of the guys landed on the woman's brown eyes flare, but she turns back around and keeps climbing. How many steps are there, she asks. 250, I answer, and we climb in silence for another 5 minutes. Not too bad, she says with a bright smile as we near the top and the line comes to a halt. I'm Ran and Matthias, by the way. Dylan, the blonde guy, responds with an enthusiastic wave. Violet, I give them a tense smile of my own, blatantly ignoring Myra's earlier suggestion that I avoid friendships and only forge alliances. I feel like I've been waiting my entire life for this day. Dylan shifts his pack on his back. Can you believe we actually get to do this? It's a dream come true, right? Naturally, every other candidate but me is excited to be here. This is the only quadrant at Basha that doesn't accept conscripts, only volunteers. I can't wait. Rena's smile widens. I mean, who wouldn't want to ride a dragon? Me, not that it doesn't sound fun. In theory it does. It's just the abhorrent odds of surviving to graduation that sour my stomach. Do your parents approve? Dylan asked. Because my mom's been begging me to change my mind for months. I keep telling her that I'll have better chances for advancement as a rider, but she wanted me to enter the healer quadrant. Mine always knew I wanted this, so they've been pretty supportive. Besides, they have my twin toot on. Reagan's already living her dream, married and expecting a baby. Ranan glances back at me. What about you? Let me guess, with a name like Sorrengail, I bet you were the first to volunteer this year. I was more like Volan, told. My answer is far less enthusiastic than hers. Gotcha. And riders do get way better perks than other officers, I say to Dylan as the line moves upward again. The snickering candidate behind me catches up, sweating and red. Look who isn't snickering now. Better pay more leniency with the uniform policy. I continue. No one gives a what riders were as long as it's black. The only rules that apply to riders are the ones I've memorized from the codex, and the right to call yourself a supreme badass. Rana adds that too. I agree. Pretty sure they issue you an ego with your flight leathers. Plus, I've heard that riders are allowed to marry sooner than the other quadrants. Dylan adds, true, right after graduation. If we survive, I think it has something to do with wanting to continue bloodlines. Most successful riders are legacies, or because we tend to die sooner than the other quadrants. Ran and muses, I'm not dying, says with way more confidence than I feel as he tugs a necklace from under his tunic to reveal a ring dangling from the chain. She said it would be bad luck to propose before I left, so we're waiting until graduation. He kisses the ring and tucks the chain back under his collar. The next 3 years are going to be long ones, but they'll be worth it. I keep my side to myself, though. That might be the most romantic thing I've ever heard you might make it across. The parapet. The guy behind us sneers. This one here is a breeze away from the bottom of the ravine. I roll my eyes shut. Up and focus on yourself. Rhiannon snaps her feet clicking against the stone as we climb the top comes into sight. The doorway full of muddled light. Mira was right, those clouds are going to wreak havoc on us and we have to be on the other side of the parapet before they do. Another step, another top of Rana's feet. Let me see your boots, I say quietly so the jerk behind me can't hear. Her brow puckers and confusion fills her brown eyes, but she shows me the SS there. Smooth just like the ones I was wearing earlier. My stomach sinks like a rock. The line starts moving again, pausing when we're only a few feet from the opening. What size are your feet? I ask. What? Rhiannon blinks at me. Your feet, what size are they? 8, she answers. 2 lines forming between her brows. I'm a 7, I say quickly. It will hurt like hell, but I want you to take my left boot. Trade with me. I have a dagger in the right one. I'm sorry. She looks at me like I've lost my mind and maybe I have. These are rider boots. They'll grip the stone better. Your toes will be scrunched and generally miserable, but at least you'll have a shot at not falling off if that rain hits. Rhiannon glances toward the open door and the darkening sky, then back to me. You're willing to trade a boot just until we get on the other side? I laugh. Look through the open door. 3 candidates are already walking across the parapet, their arms stretched out wide, but we have to be quick. It's almost our turn. Rhiannon purses her lips in debate for a second, then agrees and we swap left boots. I barely finish lacing up before the line moves again and the guy behind me shoves my lower back, sending me staggering onto the platform and into the open air. Let go, some of us have things to do on the other side. His voice Yarros on my last freaking nerve. You are not worth the effort right now, I mutter, gaining my balance as the wind whips at my skin. The midsummer morning thick with humidity. Good call on the braid mare. The top of the turret is bare, the crenellations of stone rising and falling along the circular structure at the height of my chest and doing nothing to obscure the view. The ravine and its river below suddenly feel very, very far. How many wagons do they have waiting down there? 5, 6. I know the stats. The parapet claims roughly 15% of the rider candidates. Every trial in the quadrant, including this one, is designed to test a cadet's ability to ride. If someone can't manage to walk the windy length of the slim stone bridge, then they sure as hell can't keep their balance and fight on the back of a dragon. And as for the death rate, I guess every other rider thinks the risk is worth the glory or has the arrogance to think they won't fall. I'm not in either camp, and it has me holding my stomach, and I breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth as I walk the edge behind Rhiannon and Dylan, my fingers skimming the stonework as we wind our way toward the parapet. 3 riders wait at the entrance, which is nothing more than a gaping hole in the wall of the turret. One with ripped off sleeves records names as candidates step out onto the treacherous crossing. Another, who shaved all his hair with the exception of a strip down the top center, instructs Dylan as he moves into position, patting his chest like the ring hidden there will bring him luck, I hope. It does. The third turns in my direction and my heart simply stops. He's tall with wind-blown black hair and dark brows. The line of his jaw is strong and covered by warm tawny skin and dark stubble, and when he folds his arms across his torso, the muscles in his chest and arms ripple, moving in a way that makes me swallow. And his eyes are the shade of gold flecked onks. The contrast is startling, jaw-dropping. Even everything about him is his features are so harsh that they look carved, and yet they're astonishingly perfect, like an artist worked a lifetime sculpting him, and at least a year of that was spent on his mouth. He's the most exquisite man I've ever seen, and living in the war college means I've seen a lot of men. Even the diagonal scar that bisects his left eyebrow and marks the top corner of his cheek only makes him hotter, flaming hot. Scorching hot gets you into trouble, and you like it level of hot. Suddenly I can't remember exactly why Maya told me not to around outside my year group. See you 2 on the other side, Dylan says over his shoulder with an excited grin before stepping onto the parapet, his arms spread wide ready for the next one. Ryerson, the rider with the ripped sleeve, says, Zayden Ryerson, you ready for this? Sorrengail, Rhiannon asks, moving forward. The black-haired rider snaps his gaze to mine, turning fully toward me, and my heart thunders for all the wrong reasons. A rebellion relic curving and dips and swirls starts at his bare left wrist, then disappears under his black uniform, to appear again at his collar, where it stretches and swirls up his neck. stopping at his jawline. Oh, I whisper, and his eyes narrow as if he can hear me over the hell of wind that rips at my secured braid. Sorrengail, he steps toward me, and I look up. Good gods, I don't even reach his collarbone. He's massive. He has to be more than 4 and over 6 feet tall. I feel exactly what Mara called me fragile, but I nod once, and the shining onyx of his eyes transforms to cold, unadulterated hatred. I can almost taste the loathing wafting off him like a bitter cologne. Violet Rannon asks, moving forward, your General Soren Gail's youngest. His voice is deep and accuses, you're Finn Ryerson's son. I counter, the certainty of this revelation settling in my bones. I lift my chin and do my best to lock every muscle in my body so I don't start trembling. He will kill you the second he finds out who you are. Myra's words bounce around my skull, and fear knots in my throat. He's going to throw me over the edge. He's going to pick me up and drop me right off this turret. I'm never going to get the chance to even walk the parapet. I'll die being exactly what my mother's always danced around, calling me weak. Zayden sucks in a deep breath, and the muscle in his jaw flexes once, twice. Your mother captured my father and oversaw his execution. Wait, like he has the only right to hatred here. Rage races through my veins. Your father killed my older brother. Seems like we're even. Hardly. His glaring gaze strokes over me like he's memorizing every detail or looking for any weakness. Your sister is a writer. Guess that explains the leather's guess. So I hold his glare as if winning this staring competition will gain me entrance to the quadrant instead of crossing the parapet behind him. Either way I'm getting across. Maya isn't going to lose both her siblings. His hands clench into fists, and he tenses. I prepare for the strike. He might throw me off this tower, but I won't make it easy for him. You all right? Rana asks, her gaze jumping between Zayden and me. He glances at her. Your friends we met on the stairs, she says, squaring her shoulders. He looks down, noting our mismatched shoes, and arches a brow. His hands relax. Interesting. Are you going to kill me? I lift my chin another inch. His gaze clashes with mine as the sky opens and rain falls in a deluge, soaking my hair, my leathers, and the stones around us in seconds. A scream runs the air, and Rannon and I both jerk our attention to the parapet just in time to see Dylan slip. I gasp, my heart jolting into my throat. He catches himself, hooking his arms over the stone bridge as his feet kick beneath him, scrambling for a purchase that isn't there. Pull yourself up, Dylan. Rannon shouts. Oh gods, my hand flies to cover my mouth, but he loses his grip on the water slick stone and falls, disappearing from view. The wind and rain steal any sound his body might make in the valley below. They steal the sound of my muffled cry too. Zayden never takes his eyes from me, watching silently with a look I can't interpret as I bring my horrified gaze back to his. Why would I waste my energy killing you when the parapet will do it for me? A wicked smile curves his lips. Your turn.